Right, so this is why we've been stripping the engine apart. So we've got the oil pump housing here. So obviously this is the housing that contains the oil pump gears. So the reason that we change these is the factory oil pump gears are cast and they can crack. So what happens when these crack is you lose oil pressure, and then obviously your bearings start to lose oil, and then it gets to a point where your bearings start to wear and then your engine catastrophically fails. Same applies to this. So this is your crank gear. Again, this is another cast item. So your timing chains run on these gears. Obviously with a stage 2 Whipple, you're more or less doubling the factory horsepower. So you can't really expect all the factory components to be able to withstand that power from stock. You just can't. And these are the two components that commonly fail when you turn the power up on a Coyote. So again, if these timing teeth on the gear either snap or the chain spins on them, your engine's dead. Every single valve will be bent because it'll have valve to piston contact, because if you're doing 7,500 RPM and your timing chain comes off, you're gonna have a bad time. Your engine is literally going to be, there'll be nothing left of it. So that's why it's so important to change these two items. So what we do is we install the MMR billet versions. So this is a billet one-piece version of the stock crank gear. So this is a lot stronger, and it's been proven up to like 2,000 wheel horsepower. So that goes on the end of the crank snout for the timing chains. And then we have a billet version of the oil pump gears. So you've got the outer gear and the inner gear. So that's a stock one. This is the billet version. So again, it's just a hardened material. So when you turn up the power, everything stays nice and safe. So these gears install straight back into this housing. We'll check the clearances and stuff on it, make sure that the tolerance is fine on the gears, and then the housing can go back together. That can then get installed back onto the engine, and then the crank gear goes on afterwards. So when we go on about oil pump and crank gear with force induction, this is exactly what we mean. So it's these three items here. They are crucial to a force induction build. A lot of people are like, do we need them? And in response to that, we always say it's all right until it's not. So you might drive it for a year. You might be able to get 5 years out of it. You might get 2 weeks out of it. All it takes is for you to have one hard shift, or if you've got an automatic box, the auto box give it a really aggressive shift under power, and either one of these can shatter and you could lose an engine. So for the sake of spending the extra money when you get your supercharger fitted on the oil pump and crank gear, you might as well just do it, because otherwise you're playing with fire. It's a stock engine, like at least give it some sort of chance. So we're going to get this back in the housing, get it all bolted up and torqued up, get it installed back onto the engine, and then we can start putting it back together.